But it's like, if she's truly the one you like, then you need to be a little more proactive about showing that. And that's why I'm not sure about his feelings. I just think, like, if you didn't want it, don't pick it. You're a grown ass man. He's almost 30, isn't he? Like, hi people, welcome back. If it's your first time, my name is Talia Devoli and this is Despite Them. We are talking about episode 2 of season 8 of Heart Signal China. Do all the right things and let's just jump into it. I'm gonna try and make this short. Just because the episode was 6 hours, it doesn't mean that we have to die here. So I really did only take notes of like the major things in the episode, and it's for all 3 parts, guys. Even like that extra episode at the end where it was just things that were happening in the house without the host. I thought that was actually the best episode out of all the 4 that I watched, right? So yeah, let's just dive on in. We started at the house. Yifan and Lanlan are heading up to their rooms, and there's a gift waiting on the door for Lanlan. So Yifan guesses that it's from Bad Boy, and they kind of talk about it together. But honestly, Lanlan did not look like she was excited for that. She didn't look happy at all that it was a gift from Bad Boy. If you ask me. She does confirm with him downstairs and she says thank you, but there was no further conversation with him, nothing of that sort. Like, it's very evident that she is not on his train at all anymore. Yifan then finds an excuse to be around Yuhan. One of the dogs had peed in the kitchen, so he went to get a mop from the other side. The living situation is a little weird. He went to get a mop from the other side, so she follows him. It's raining, and kind of just sticks with him while he's doing all that work. Ned Type returns home. He got back late. I think he was the last one to get back, and Lanlan just lights up. He sits down beside her. They start talking. You know, they're laughing. He gives her candy. Like, she's very much zoned in on him. Honestly, she's very much focused. Like, he has her undivided attention. And I still I'm still surprised. Even though like I can see it, I'm still very surprised at this point that she's so like locked in on Nerd Type. It's impressing me. So while they're laughing and talking and everything, you see Bad Boy in the corner with Sunnyside, and they're just like, he starts to pet the dog. He needed that emotional support again. I really feel bad for him. She's not even giving him any attention anymore. I think it's been like a week now in the house, and I feel like it's time for him to start looking at other avenues. It's time for him to start talking to some of the other women more seriously. Do you think it's too early? I don't think so, because it's not like she's entertaining both of them. She has no space for anybody except for Nerd Type. So I feel like it's time for him to move on. West Coast works out some more. So even in the last episode, the girls were going on a walk. I think it was the Lee Chun trio. They were going for a walk while West Coast was working out, and they asked if he wanted to come along, and he said no. Maybe it wasn't the trio, maybe it was just Black Cat and Dewey. He said no, he's just gonna keep working out, and he just kept on working out. I did get a little more insight into West Coast in this episode, but we'll talk about it when we get there. Lanlan and Nerd Type then flirt like seriously on the couch. They have this weird, sexy, nerdy, flirty thing going on for them. It kind of pushes you and draws you in. It's a weird thing, but it kind of works. I don't get it, guys, but it works. It really does. Joey puts on her battle armor. She's putting on lipstick and everything, you know, like, oh yes, I'm going to get me my man. Walks into the living room where Sunnyside, Black Cat, and Lee Chan were sitting, and then she chokes. I was like, this girl, her nervous energy is on another scale entirely. So she wants to obviously go out for a walk with him. She was not like, oh, I want to go out for a walk to like everybody while walking away from all of them. He looks up and is like, huh? And then he says it's raining outside, so obviously they can't even go for a walk. Then she circles around. She's kind of like a vulture circling them, not really saying anything. And afterwards, she just gives up. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. I think she knows that he doesn't like her like that, but she's trying to give it the good old try. Personally, I'm just gonna be like, no. It's hard because that's who she likes. She hasn't actually seen any other person in a different light, you know? But he don't like you. You know he doesn't like you. But again, it's still early days. You never know who can turn whose head. Eileen gets back and Lee Chun's, like, he lights up. He looks at her. I think she's a little tired. So she walks over to the kitchen, and this was where I noticed that West Coast might actually have a thing for Eileen. I might call her Eileen or I might call her Dodo because they were calling her Dodo throughout the entire thing. This was where I noticed that West Coast may actually like Eileen because he asked a question, he asked if she'd eaten, like he was actually engaged and he had this huge smile on his face, and whenever he looked at her in this episode I was like, oh, I think he actually does like her. Very interesting. And by the end of the episode, I was like, maybe, just maybe, I might see it working out for them. I feel, I'm trying to be sensitive about this, guys, but I feel like West Coast is the equivalent of a black guy on Love Island UK, or a black girl, not guy, because the guys usually get fair treatment, but a black girl on Love Island UK. If you know, you know. I'm not explaining any further than that, guys. I am not. Eileen then decides that she says she hasn't eaten, so she goes to the other side because you have to leave the living room or whatever they were to the other compartment to go and eat. Lee Chun stands up and he's going after her. And then Black Cat stands up and like, oh, Eileen is in the other place, and she goes, look, it was smart. It was smart on Black Cat's side, the way she maneuvered this whole thing. But I also think you've been with him. Let the man breathe, you know? I feel like he was literally trying to escape them. And she followed him. When they get there, Eileen is trying to get food. He asks if she wants anything. She says she wants noodles. Black Cat just instantly says, I'll cook it for you. Smart again. And I think it was 50-50. I think that they are actually friends. Black Cat and Eileen are friends. But I also think that Black Cat was running interference so that Lee Chan doesn't cook for her and imprint that, get more close. I don't know, I think like let people be. Because in the end, he was stuck in the kitchen with Eileen, Black Cat, and Jue also joined them. Eileen was like, you're all gonna watch me eat. Well, at least she was happy. She didn't seem any type of way about it, which I loved for her, because if she had felt uncomfortable, I wouldn't like it. But she just seemed like, yeah, it is what it is. They're all here. Let's just chill and have fun with it. Bad Boy and West Coast then gossip like schoolgirls in their room. I don't know why they were whispering. They were the only two people in the room. But they were talking about love interests in the house. West Coast thinks that Lee Chun is into Black Cat. But Bad Boy says, no, it's not Black Cat. It's Eileen. And then Bad Boy talks about his own... he talks about the guys and says that Nerd Type has basically monopolized Lan Lan's time and that they're always glued at the hip. But again, if she doesn't want to be glued to him, she wouldn't, right? So it was just fun to see them gossiping like school children. They didn't get a text that it's a big date and it's going to be men's choice. Nerd Type was still reading the text message when he took off. This man like, whoop! Left the room, left the guys, went down that slide, almost like slid out of the apartment completely. I went to the other place to go and get a look at the boxes. So he didn't open them, but he just wanted to be first there, just in case, to get any advantage that he can in order to choose the girl that he likes. In the end, he did get first choice. I'm not really sure why. They opened up all the boxes, and it was drawings that the girls had made, with like hints about what they were going to do. So they opened all the boxes, looked at it, and he just picked the one that he thought was Lan Lan, and he held on to it. He said he doesn't really care about the others. He knows that this is the one he wants, and he held on to it. The other boys then, debate, try and figure out who drew what and who did what. There was also a follow me box, and that box is whoever the girl picks will have to go on a date regardless, and no other guy can pick her. So in the end, Yuhan seemed very unwilling to pick the card that he got. But I think because of the Bernese dog, there was a dog on the card, he almost seemed like he was pressured to pick it up. I feel like he was angling towards Sunnyside's card, and he knew the card that was for Sunnyside, or at least he felt like he knew it. But he decided to go with the other one, and then had picker's remorse in the end. I was like, if you didn't want it, don't pick it. Nobody forced you. He seemed really unhappy about that whole thing, and I was like, okay, now you're going to go into this date truly, truly miserable, like not just wanting to be around whoever it is that you picked because you didn't get the girl that you want, and you're gonna make her feel like trash, I just think, like, if you didn't want it, don't pick it. You're a grown-ass man. He's almost 30, isn't he? Like, Lee Chan gets the follow me card request. So he ended up picking one Sunset card because he thought that was Eileen. I didn't think that was Eileen, but that's what he thought. The dates then show up. Nerd Type got Lan Lan, and he shows up with flowers and a gift. Like, this man was ready, and I really like it. They went pearl picking, so they will literally pick I think it's oysters, right? Pick the oysters open them, fish out the pearls, and then make jewelry. So they picked the oysters. This man did everything, and this man proceeded to just adorn her with pearls. She had like 2 rings, she had necklaces. I'm sure they made more stuff. Like, it was a very beautiful date. I was just like, I swear down, Asia is living in another world. China has left this world behind. Because I can't do that where I am. I can't even hope to do that. That was such a cute date. I really liked it. While they were talking, she did bring up something that made it click for me. When they went for dinner, she said that she likes intelligent people, like people that she can have conversations with and they can stand their own ground. So I was like, oh, she's sapiosexual. That is why as soon as he said he was an ophthalmologist, she zeroed in on him. Maybe it had to do with the profession. Who knows? But she zeroed in on him and he has been her sole focus since then. She craves intelligence. Made complete sense, to be honest. Their date was really cute. The gift that he got her was like a sleep mask, hair tie, and a pillowcase. It was all silk. It's like the lights in the house are a little too bright, so he wanted her to have a good sleep. It was very cute. She always looks him in the eyes like I think she enjoys making him feel shy. I think she loves it. But you know what I appreciate? She only looks at him. This girl doesn't look, how can the most popular girl? She doesn't look at anybody else, just him. I can respect it. Honestly, I can respect her feelings for him. So far, I think that they are headed in the right direction. We'll see how things go. Next, part 2 rolls up. The next date was West Coast. And he picked the card with, what was it again? It was a hot pot and a boxing glove, and it ended up being Sunnyside. He does give her a gift when they go to the restaurant, but first of all, they do some training, they do some light boxing. It seemed like 2 friends connecting, if I was being honest. There wasn't really anything romantic styles. They seem to help each other just settle in the house, because they seem to have the same kind of personality where they're always quiet in the corner, just basically watching things go down in the house, and so they were able to relax a little bit more. He said that he'd been in the Swiss Special Forces, and that was actually impressive. We actually got to know a little bit more about him throughout this date, and I appreciated that because I like him. I really do like him. And just because he's quiet in the corner, we don't get to see much of him, and that kind of pisses me off a little bit. He doesn't eat spicy food, but that's what they were having. I think he nearly died in the restaurant at that point. Next date was Lee Chun, and he ended up the card that he ended up picking, the one with the sunset, was Jewels. I was like, wow, you don't even know the girl that you like. I was like, wow. But I was happy for her. At least she gets her date. She was very flirty on the date. They went to this pet dessert store. So she did, I think she designed a cake for her dog or something like that. They talked about what they talked about. I would say that he talked more on this date than he seemed to do on the date that he went on with Eileen, because when I was watching, I was like, okay, he's a lot more communicative with Joey than he was with Eileen. And then I watched that final episode where it was just them in the house. I was like, okay, these people have already had some like serious conversations, so maybe this was just like formality for the dinner or something like that. Anyways, they talked about it, and he spoke about emotional coldness, how he can get emotionally cold, and he asked her if she was crazy. If she could be crazy. And also she talked about point ranking, saying that she likes to be first. And I was like, there's no point you bringing it on. There's no point of her bringing it up to him. He doesn't like her. She's not even second on his list. So there's no point at all. Just take the date, lock it up, get your closure, and leave. There's no point. He don't like you like that. 22. I need to keep remembering 22. Part 3 rolls along, and then Lichan and Eileen. So she had done the follow me. She was the follow me card. So they went roller skating, and then they went to his school, their school, because they all went to the same school. So they were smiling a lot. There was a lot of smiles between them. You obviously know that there's a tension between them, but there's also a friendship between them. They had a very deep conversation. They talked about emotions. They talked about love versus friendship. They did have a very solid conversation between them. I think something in her soothes him and helps him like keep that balance. But he still felt guarded from me, because throughout he was still like this. And if you know anything, if you know body language, that is like putting up a wall. Even though he was willing to be emotionally vulnerable with her, he still has his guards up. So I'm not sure if he's guarding her against him or if he's guiding him against her. I really don't know. Then we see Bad Boy, and his date was a black cat. Hers was like the best picture of all the pictures. That artistic card that she did was absolutely gorgeous. It was a sunset over like the lake, and it was very beautiful. So where the date that she chose was like leather walks. They were making or designing leather wallets. The date started out very awkward because these two people, I don't think we've ever seen them have one conversation before. But it ended friendly, knowing that they don't really have a connection, they don't really have any emotional ties to each other. There was nothing there. I thought that they actually did match in a weird sense of things, but they both like completely different people, so there was just nothing going to be there. And last but not least, we see Yuhan and Yifan, and it was this swing dance like practice. It was the same place that Lion and Pampang went to in Yes I Do season 4, I think. She got him flowers. The man did not seem like he wanted to be there. If I'm being honest, he did not seem happy at all. And then when they finished their dance lessons, the sitting position was a little much. Yifan was basically inside his mouth. I'm kidding. But like his own body was all leaning away. If I had seen that, I would have moved off. But she was like right there. I gotta give her props like for going for what she wants. But I don't think she'll end up with him. I don't think he likes her or sees her like that. Unfortunately, she's just not maybe his type. Their conversation was actually really deep. So at some point, I wasn't even sure if they were fighting, agreeing. I wasn't sure what was happening. They had very opposing views, especially when it came to marriage, kids, and love. But to be honest, that dinner was my favorite one out of all the dates that we had seen because of the intense conversation that they were having. Because these are the kind of conversations that you want to iron out if you're going to spend the rest of your life with somebody. So I really appreciated the intense conversation they were having. Both people were standing their ground without overpowering the other person, and I respected that very much. And I feel like from his part, he had nothing to lose, and that's why he was able to stand his ground without being disrespectful. I don't think he intends to date this girl, so he could say his mind. And she was like, yeah, I can see your part, but I also believe this, and that. It wasn't bad. I thought, like I said, it was my favorite one out of all the dates, out of all the dinner parts of all the dates. It was my favorite because of the kind of conversation that they had. In the hotline, so for the hotline text, everybody pretty much was a mutual. Everybody that went on a date sent mutual texts to each other, with the exception of Jue. Lee Chan chose to send text to Eileen, and that was kind of like the end of episode 2. And then I watched that extra episode where it's just them in the house, and the conversation between Lee Chan and Eileen, I really found it very moving. I think, like I said, I think she suits him. She understands him like instantly. She clocks it, especially everything that he seems to be going through. My own fear now, my own worry is that I don't want her to become a therapist for him. I don't want her or him to use her as emotional. I guess I don't even know what it is. I just don't want that for her. I think Eileen is so bubbly, so full of life. Like, I think she's deserving of somebody who will cherish and love her as much as she requires. She talked about her parents and how I think her dad saw her mom and decided that that was the person he was going to marry. Her dad, they write letters in their house. Like, her family dynamic is kind of like Bad Boy's family dynamic. They are a very loving family, which is completely opposite to what Lee Chun is used to. And I think you could argue that that is what Lee Chun kind of needs now in his life, so he understands that you can be loved this way, you can be accepted this way. It is okay for men to cry, it is okay for men to be vulnerable, it is okay for men to show emotions, right? But I just don't want her to be his therapist. I want her to be his partner, and I want him to acknowledge that. Because even when they were having that deep conversation, she was on the couch and he was sitting far away. He's very respectful. When they went roller skating, he didn't even want to like grab her hand or anything. He didn't want to do anything improper, But it's like, if she's truly the one you like, then you need to be a little more proactive about showing that. And that's why I'm not sure about his feelings, That's the thing that's really confusing me. It was also in that after episode when they all gathered, and the way West Coast was looking at Eileen, I was like, he likes her. And I hope that they actually get to spend some time together so that Eileen can decide for herself who is the better fit. I think that she would still ultimately choose Lee Chan, But Lee-chan hasn't gone on a date with Black Cat yet, and we know Black Cat likes him, right? We also see that Yuhan and Sunnyside spent some more time together. He was actually angling to spend more time with Sunnyside. He comments on her new style because she changed up her style and everything. He comments on it. He's very complimentary, you know. So we see that that's who he's actually leaning to. Yifan also notices that that's who he is leaning to. So yeah, I think Bad Boy and La La Land also have a conversation, but there was nothing really coming up with it. So I feel like he knows now that that is dead in the water, and I'm hoping that he moves on, or at least tries to find somebody else in the house. But I think it's going to be hard because I feel like he's stuck on her. No, it's good. It was good. I really appreciated waiting for all the parts to be out so that I could watch everything in its entirety and then we can talk about it. Plus, I didn't want to be talking for 30 minutes either. I'm liking it. I want to see how things develop because eventually everybody should go out with everybody at least once, right? Right? I think that's how it usually works out. But there's so many people in the house. Plus, we're still expecting one more guy. It's definitely going to be rowdy for sure. But I'm loving the development so far. We'll see what episode 3 brings. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this. Be sure to leave those comments. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.